and now I am finally ready to talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane. After watching the Cloverfield Paradox, I wanted to review the first Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane because I just wanted to rewatch them. And Cloverfield 1, in my review, I just thought it was pretty alright. It was forgettable, but it had cool ideas. And then this movie was one of my favorite movies of 2016. This surprised the hell out of me in terms of just it came out of nowhere, and the first one did that too. And this one, and also Cloverfield Paradox, are scripts that were not originally a Cloverfield movie. The first one was, but this and Cloverfield Paradox are not. And I think that that is immensely an interesting idea of doing an anthology film series and making different things each one. I think that that is such a cool idea. And we've had franchises that try to do that but fail. Like the Halloween franchise did that, but like it just didn't work out because people wanted Michael Myers back. But the thing about Cloverfield, I think this is a great series for an anthology because this second one did such a fantastic job of being part of the universe, but also you're not dealing with the aliens until the end. Like you're literally, it's about this character Michelle who gets abducted underground in a bunker by a man named Harold, and how Howard tells her that there's been an epidemic up. You don't know if it's the Russians or we don't know if it's chemical. What is it? Up like he doesn't know what it is up there. And then there's another man named Emmett who's there too. And they do it to where this movie is a great horror movie, and it's a monster horror movie, but it's about two types of monsters. And I think that that is a brilliant idea of having John Goodman's character, Howard, be this monstrous being to where at the beginning you don't Michelle, the character Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays, does not trust him. And as it goes along, it gets more and more like it builds in such a fantastic way with this Howard character and how you don't know if he's crazy at first, and then as it goes along you realize even more and more crazy, like he might have killed a girl, and sexually abused her, and how I like the idea that he is crazy. He is a crazy fuck who did shitty things, but I like that he was right in the long run, that there was something up there. And I really love the idea that he is crazy, but you see where he comes from. Like the line that's really great, there's a really great line in this movie where John Goodman's character says to both of them that, I know you all always make sure you've got security cameras and alarms, but what happens when those alarms go off? What happens whenever the epidemic happens? And he said how he built this bunker because he knew the impending doom was going to happen eventually, but people just never will do it. And I think that's really cool that he is crazy, but in a way he does cool things too. Like he made a bunker to make them survive, but he's a creepy fuck. And that really works on such a cool level of not just being one or the other. It's not like, oh, he's crazy, but it's not true what's up there on the ground, but it is true that the aliens are there too. I think that's really a cool idea. And I thought that John Goodman's performance in the movie was fantastic. He's, of course, fantastic in most of his movies anyways, but in this one, this stuck out to me so well because he just gave it his all, and he is scary and intimidating. And he at this time had a lot more weight on him, so he looked like he was an intimidating presence. Just if he stood in a doorway, you couldn't get away from him. And I really, really liked that a lot. I thought that was really, really cool. And the build-up, I think, is so fantastic in terms of paranoia with Michelle and how she doesn't understand what Howard is, and he won't tell her. And then Emmett doesn't understand either, but he seems like he's a little farther along, and she talks to him about it, and they realize all these things, like he probably killed a girl and sexually abused her. And stuff like that, where they're thinking, is he telling the truth about up here, or is he just leaving us down here? And then whenever he point blank shoots Emmett in the shoots Emmett. That to me was fantastic because then it played into the more of the paranoia of he killed this other girl and probably sexually abused her. Now Michelle is the new target, and that to me is really scary. And I love this idea of being part of this universe, but it's not technically much about it. I think that that's really cool, and it was fantastic in that aspect, and I just love that idea of paranoia about how monsters are anywhere. It's like you got which one would you rather deal with? The monsters up there destroying everything or the monster down here? I think that's great. And whenever it finally breaks loose, where it is a bottle movie, and then it breaks loose to where Michelle goes out and builds herself a suit. How she gets out, it is frightening and scary because she gets out, and you know that this is a Cloverfield movie. It's called 10 Cloverfield Lane. But whenever she comes out of the ground, whenever she escapes after Howard dies, she comes out, and it's scary because you don't know what the truth is. Like, this is a Cloverfield movie. She's gonna go out there and probably get killed by aliens, and it just is intense in terms of the shot where she goes out. She's breathing heavily hard through the suit, and it's because of Mary Elizabeth Winstead too, because she's really a great actress and underrated, and she really sold that being so scared getting out of here, realizing what's going to be up here, is it true or not? And I love how they pause it to where she goes out, but it takes a minute for her to realize that there's actually an alien there, because she gets out, she's breathing heavily, and then she's got a hole in her suit, and it makes it more scary and intimidating and intense because she is scared to death. Like, she's gonna die because she's got a hole in her suit. She's gonna get killed. And then she realizes that what's going on? There's nothing's out here, and she takes off the head mask, but then she looks around and breathes like everything's normal, like Howard was lying. But then I love that shot of where she gets in the car and looks over, and then there's the alien hovercraft it sees her and starts coming her direction, and she has a great line where she goes, "Oh, come on," and then like she runs back to get something to run away from the alien. But I love that reaction because of all the shit she just dealt with a human monster. She deals with literal, like, an alien monster out on the ground, and I think that's such a cool, intricate way of having the story be part of real monsters and monsters that are aliens. I think that's really cool. I love that idea, and I just loved the fight at the end whenever she fights the alien, and whenever she goes up to it, and then whenever she's taken in the car and the alien's gonna like basically eat her, she gets a flask and makes a Molotov cocktail and throws it out of the car into the alien's mouth. So then she falls in the car, and that makes it intense too, because she falls and then it blacks out. Like, she's already gotten a crash at the beginning of the movie, so she has another one, but from falling onto the ground. Then she wakes up and realizes that she's alive, and she heads off to go and help people in need after a radio announcement that they've taken the Eastern Seaboard and they need help down there. And I think that it's so cool how it ends, because then she drives away, but then in the distance, in the cloud, you see an alien ship up there. And I thought, wow, that's going to be cool if she comes back and they bring her and they have her connect to the other Cloverfield films. But so far, we haven't seen that, because Cloverfield Paradox didn't connect this to that really at all, besides a couple minute little things. But I really, really think that this movie is, to me, it's becoming one of my favorite movies ever. I think that this is fantastic in terms of acting, in terms of cinematography, in terms of build-up and tension and paranoia, in terms of being an anthology film that works absolutely perfect as an anthology film, but it doesn't have to talk about the main thing much, about the aliens, about Cloverfield. I love that idea, and I love how this was a script beforehand, but it feels so authentic in terms of connecting both of these. And people have complained, oh, it's stupid at the end how like she fights the alien because it was all about being underground. But I think that to me, I thought it worked perfectly, and I thought that these characters were also interesting and intriguing, and I loved how, even though you didn't always have the aliens in this, like at the scene at the end, they kept mentioning it and mentioning it, but I love how the paranoia of these characters makes you believe, is it happening or not? Is this actually going on up there on the ground? And I think that it works so well on all of those factors, and I'm to me this is obviously the most superior Cloverfield film out of the three, and I think that this is really really fucking fantastic, and it is one of my favorite movies ever. Now I've watched it so many times. Listen to the commentary. Dan Trachtenberg, this is his first full length film. I think he did some like short films. I think maybe something with Portal, the game, but he I cannot believe the first time film director did this amazing amount of work. Like, this is fantastic, and it's on such a lower budget too, but it looks so beautiful and it looks amazing with the cinematography. So like I said, this is one of my favorite movies ever, and I'm so excited. Even though we got Cloverfield Paradox, which wasn't very good, it was okay. This one is obviously the superior of the three for me, and this still, regardless of what I thought about the newest one, I am so glad for the future of Cloverfield, because hopefully we can get another anthology film like this set in this wonderful world.